President Franklin D. Roosevelt told the country the only thing to fear is fear itself. And ETSU sociologist Dr. Joseph Baker explores fear in his new book entitled Fear Itself: The Causes and Consequences of Fear in America. And today we want to welcome Dr. Baker to Daytime. Thank you for being here today, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about your book. This was actually published in March, even before the COVID-19 outbreak occurred, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we published it on fear, and we just missed probably the most fearful event of the new century here, but that is how it worked out.
There's a lot, though, that is in your book that can be applied to this time in our history, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly applicable to it. There's a few different ways it's applicable to what's going on now. Some of it in the sense of how we deal with the fears that are seriously threatening, and then some in the sense of how we deal with some of the fears that crop up that aren't legitimate. So you can think about things like some of the conspiracy theories that surround the pandemic and things like that. So we kind of address both of those issues.
You kind of differentiate between fear and danger. Those are two different things, aren't they?
Yeah, so we differentiate between these two things, what we call fear control versus danger control. So danger control is when there's a legitimate fear, and then what you're trying to do is find ways to mitigate the danger. So in some sense, fear here is motivating. You're acting on it, and you're trying to see if you can reduce the danger that's causing it. Fear control is different. That's where people try to deal with the fear on its own. So people can do this by ignoring it, or minimizing it, or finding ways to distract themselves from it. But generally speaking, when you manage just the fear on its own and not the source of the danger, that doesn't actually do much to help.
Why did you decide to explore fear in book form? Why did you decide to go down that path?
So the goal with this was that we wanted to look at fear
Dad,
from...
are you having a meeting?
Yeah, here, come here and say hi. We wanted to look at fear from a sort of a sociological perspective, so there's a lot in psychology on it, and there's a lot in neurology on it. And so basically what we wanted to do was to look at it from a sociological and political point of view. So how does fear affect how people think about the world and take actions based on it? So there hadn't been too much on it from that angle, so that's kind of the perspective we took. You got to see my daughter there. That's Eleanor. She got to say hi.
I'm glad we got to see her, showing that it's truly live television here. I love that. But let's talk about your book. It's, like I said, it's been out since March. Have you gotten any feedback from other sources that have read your book? What kind of feedback have you been getting about your book?
Mostly positive, in the sense that, again, we're kind of addressing something that's very timely. So
Right.
People have had a very positive reaction to it in that sense. I've had a lot of good conversations with other people researching things that are related to what we're doing, so not explicitly about fear, but we touch on a lot of different things, whether it's people's concerns about things like the pandemic, or if you're looking at things like how fears affect political voting and motivation and things like that. So it's been positive, and it's started a lot of really interesting conversations across different disciplines.
Really quickly, could you tell us where folks can find your book?
Absolutely. If you look for Fear Itself, and then the publisher is NYU Press, New York University Press. So you can find it on Amazon or from the press itself. And that's the way to find it. And we've got a few things out there on the pandemic where we're kind of addressing, applying the perspective we take here to the pandemic, so we kind of updated it in that sense, so you can find that stuff online.
All right. Dr. Joseph Baker, thank you so much for taking some time with us and sharing a little family time with us as well.
Hey, we all working from home, so everybody gets a little piece of that now.
That's it. That's it. Thank you so much for your time today, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Check out the book. It is called Causes and Consequences of Fear in America, Fear Itself. Check it out today.